Comiskey Park in Chicago. It's ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Tonight, Kirby Puckett and the Minnesota Twins take on Frank Thomas and the first place Chicago White Sox. Field. This one has a chance, and it is gone, a home run. And a high drive in the deep left center field. This one is way back. This one is gone. He's done it again. Number 10 for Ventura, his third in the last 2 days. This is Comiskey Park on the south side of Chicago. Tonight, ESPN Sunday Night Baseball featuring the first place Chicago White Sox and the Minnesota Twins. White Sox being chased by the Texas Rangers this afternoon in Arlington, Texas. Cal Ripken and the Orioles put it to the Rangers. Cal with his 23rd home run, and Jamie Moyer and company went on to post a 6-3 victory over Texas. Meanwhile, third place Kansas City against Boston at Royal Stadium. Bottom of the 12th inning, and Greg Gagne with a base hit. The former Twin beating the Red Sox. And so the standings right at the moment. The White Sox 4 games up on Texas, 4.5 over Kansas City. Those numbers will change depending on the outcome here. Hello, everyone. I'm John Miller, bidding you welcome to our telecast tonight. When you think of the White Sox, first and foremost, you think of the great young slugger, Frank Thomas. Not only is he leading the White Sox in every major category, he's among the league leaders there and a leading candidate for MVP in the American League. Now, many feel that John Olerud in his chase for 400 was an early favorite, but look at the numbers. Thomas, more homers and more RBIs. Gonzalez of Texas, more homers. He also is a top candidate, and Griffey Jr. just having a spectacular all-around year. So there are many young candidates for MVP. Joe Morgan is here with me, but Frank Thomas seems to have less support in his lineup than any of those others.
Well, he definitely does not have the protection that some of the other players have. But the thing for me, John, is the most valuable player award says just that. It's not the most valuable player from a winning team. It's the most valuable player to his team. And I think Frank Thomas fits that category very well. 35 home runs, 106 runs batted in. The next highest total of RBIs on his team is 69.
Indeed. All right, now, the White Sox also, when you think of the White Sox, you think of Bo Jackson. It's almost a miracle that he's still playing. He's not the player he once was, but Bo can still do some things that'll make you take a look. And for instance, Friday night against Jim Deshaies of the Twins in this series, a tremendous opposite field homer. They measured it out at 446 feet. So Bo still has a few tricks up his sleeve.
He still has some pop in his bat. And every time he walks in the batter's box, John, he gets my attention because I know he's either going to hit some prodigious blast or he's going to take a big swing and strike out, kind of like Reggie Jackson.
Well, he'll be in there tonight, so we'll get a look at Bo. White Sox with great individual talents. They get the leading winner in the majors, Jack McDowell, a 20-game winner. The number 2 pitchers won 15 games. They got a fine closer, Roberto Hernandez, good defensively in the infield, and, of course, Frank Thomas. Why haven't they run away with this division? That's what the people here are asking.
Well, I think one of the reasons, John, is their intensity has been questioned. And I think the real problem is inconsistency. Not so much their intensity, but knowing how to channel all this energy into the proper perspective. They really want to win, and I think they will win, but they have to channel their energies in a little better direction than they have in the past, and they'll open up a bigger lead.
All right, now the Minnesota Twins are down year, but Kirby Puckett hitting 300. He was the MVP of the All-Star game. And Dave Winfield, 12 hits away from 3,000.
And the 3,000 hit mark will automatically get him into the Hall of Fame, I believe. But he also has the outside chance of getting 500 home runs. Going into tonight, he has 451.
They'll both be in there. It's the Twins trying to play the role of spoilers against the first place Chicago White Sox. A couple of pitchers down on their luck. Young Eddie Guardado from Minnesota, Kirk McCaskill for the White Sox. ESPN's presentation of Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Fresh, pure, natural. Proud to be your Bud. By New Edge Aftershave. Ultimate comfort. That's the edge. And by Charles Schwab and Company. Helping investors help themselves. It's cool and wet on the south side of Chicago. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from the new Comiskey Park. And tonight the White Sox try and solidify their hold on first place. Meanwhile, for the Minnesota Twins, it will be Shane Mack leading it off. Chuck Knobloch at second base. Kirby Puckett in right field. The big slugger, Kent Herbeck at first base. Dave Winfield, 12 shy of 3,000, the DH. Brian Harper, perennial 300 hitter, the catcher. Chip Hale, one of the young Twins, a left-handed hitting third baseman. David McCarty out of Stanford, a prospect. Left field, and Jeff Rebele is at shortstop. A lot of youngsters on this Minnesota ball club. 8 rookies on the 25-man roster right now. The weather here at Comiskey, and again, there's a threat of rain. They had a solid 5 hours of rain earlier in the day. It is 73 degrees and a 30% chance of rain. Just a very slight wind, and what there is of it is blowing out toward left field. But right now it's very comfortable, kind of refreshing out here at the ballpark. And Jeff Bossard, the groundskeeper here at Chicago, tells us that there won't be any rain until maybe 10:30. That's the last report he had. There is Kirk McCaskill on the mound. He was being counted upon as the 4th White Sox starter, but as you can see, he's been more part of the problem than the solution. And finally, a couple of months ago, removed from the rotation. Look at that earned run average.
Well, his earned run average very high, although I was told that he is starting to throw the ball better, meaning his fastball has a little more hop on it. And if he can get a little more pop on his fastball, he is capable of giving them a good effort.
Well, behind Kirk McCaskill, the White Sox look this way.
And defensively, you're going to take a look at Ellis Burks in center field. Ventura, we'll take a look at Ventura first over at shortstop. Ozzie Guillen, Gold Glove winner. He's back from knee surgery in the offseason and doing a pretty good job.
And there's Tom Kelly, manager of the Minnesota Twins. He's had a lot of success there. And kind of a low-key sort, which here in Chicago has caused a lot of complaining among White Sox fans about White Sox manager Gene Lamont. They feel that he's too low-key for the job, and yet here's Tom Kelly, also very low-key. Has had no problems in Minnesota with that. But Gene Lamont's under some fire, and I think one thing here in Chicago, Joe, they've been good for the last couple of years, and they're expected to win this year. They get a lot of pressure on them, and so everybody's feeling it.
Well, if they do not win, I believe the fans will blame Gene Lamont, because they do have a good ball club. But again, his low-key approach sometimes irritates the fans and some of the writers. The writers are the one who are writing it, not the fans. So sometimes you have to please the writers as well as the fans.
Downtown Chicago from the south side, and you can see there's some overcast, some cloudiness in that parking lot. That's where Comiskey Park used to be, the old Comiskey, the Palace of Baseball, for 80 years the home of the White Sox. Replaced by the new Comiskey, state-of-the-art ballpark, opened a couple of years ago. Here is Shane Mack, hitting .274, 9 home runs, 58 batted in, and ball 1 from McCaskill. All season long, Mack has been dogged by rumors of his imminent move from Minnesota. A lot of talk that he's going to be traded, but it never happened.
Well, he makes quite a bit of money, over $3 million is reported, and he is not hitting as he has in the past. His batting average has suffered, and actually he just has not played as well this year as he did last year.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. Base hit. Shane back over to first. As the throw comes back, the coaches for the Twins, a veteran, Wayne Terwilliger. He is over at first base. Just about everybody's favorite baseball man. And there's Ron Gardenhire, former infielder with the Mets. He's the third base coach for the Twins. And the batter will be Chuck Knobloch. Knobloch having the usual Chuck Knobloch season. An igniter at the top of the order. Good hit and run man. Can steal a base. Gets on base a lot. He's hitting .286, 2 homers, 34 batted in. You see a lot of familiar names and faces in this Minnesota batting order. Kirby Puckett on deck, and Knobloch showing bunt but taking ball 1. Twins in 6th place, going nowhere. And Tom Kelly was saying before the game that for the parameters expressed to him by General Manager Andy McPhail before the season, he kind of figured this might not be a great season for the Twins. They look at themselves as a small market ball club with financial constraints. They got rid of John Smiley, one of their top winners last year. And then two pitchers who stayed have not pitched well, Erickson and Tapani. So they've had some of the worst starting pitching overall in the American League this year. Back to the bag. He's got 14 steals this year.
John, they have a very unusual defense alignment set up against Knobloch. The shortstop, Guillen, is playing up the middle. You can see Ventura way off the line at third. Raines in left field is actually in left center. And moving around all the way around to right center is Ellis Burks.
Up into the twilight. Gray back out, and that's Bo Jackson. One away.
Well, they had him defense perfectly there. Everyone around to the right side. But when you do that, you'll have to throw him all hard stuff. You can't throw him any breaking balls. You'd have to throw him a lot of fastballs.
So Knobloch retired. And now Kirby Puckett is coming up. And Kirby got a book out this year. Big picture of Kirby on the cover with a big smile on his face, which is pretty well the expression you always expect from Kirby when he's at the ballpark. And the title of the book is I Love This Game. And indeed he does. And the game loves him. Kirby Puckett.
I don't think you can find anyone that plays the game any harder or any better than Kirby Puckett. Gives you a good effort every night.
Hitting .300. And when he plays here, he's playing back home. He grew up on the south side of Chicago, not far from the old Comiskey Park.
In fact, this was one of the places he was rumored to be moving to in the offseason when he was a free agent, but he decided to stay in Minnesota.
Just back safely, Shane Mack. Almost got him that time. John Shulock, the first base umpire, made the call.
Good move by McCaskill. And just getting back in time is Mack. You'll see his right hand just barely gets in there before Burks applies the tag. Thomas, I'm sorry. I got Burks on the brain already. First I had him in right center, now I got him at first base. I'll move him around to second in a minute.
Back at first. They pitch out as he's running. They got him hung up. And Thomas got it.
John, there's been a lot of talk about base stealing being down in the major leagues, and part of the reason is it seems that managers are able to pick up tendencies from base stealers a little better now than before. It's definitely a pitch out. Mack was going right on the pitch. They had it smelled out, and Thomas finally tags him out. That's one of the reasons that stolen bases are down.
2-0, nobody on. 1-0 to Kirby Puckett, and he fouls it back. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kirby was 16 homers, 72 batted in. He's had 33 doubles. And he's been flirting with .300 much of the year, but his average right now is at .300 for the first time in nearly 4 months. May the 4th was the last time he started the game hitting .300 or better. And it'll go up a little bit more. Base hit to center field.
Well, Puckett has been having a little trouble with the high fastball. I watched him facing Jack McDowell's high fastball last week, and he was having some problems. He doesn't have any problems with this fastball up. Just lines it right back through the middle. And what he does so well, high leg kick. Now watch the good extension. Gets the bat right out, drives it right back through the middle. Kind of throws the barrel of the bat at the ball. You hear that a lot, that statement a lot. A lot of hitters do that. They seem to throw the barrel of the bat at the baseball.
Here's Kent Hrbek. Hrbek, in most ways, having his worst season as a major league. That's fouled straight back. Got 18 homers, 63 batted in, but hitting only .230. No score, top of the first. 2 down and nobody on. Here at Comiskey Park. Giants with a 9-3 lead over the Florida Marlins. Last of the 6th inning at Joe Robbie. That's the only other major league game still going. Look out. Back to the backstop it goes, and Kirby Puckett will move over to second.
It looked like Karkovice was completely fooled on that pitch. He was down in the crouch even though the pitch was up high, and just kind of reached up for it rather than raising up. like he was expecting a breaking ball, and this is a high fastball. Watch. Now, he doesn't come out of the crouch. He just kind of leans up and then reaches for it.
Wild pitch.
Karkovice and McCaskill want to keep the ball in tight on Herbeck.
2-1 to Ken. Now on deck is Dave Winfield. Herbeck has always been a key man. There's Big Dave. Herbeck's always been a key man in this lineup because he's really always been the power of the Twins. I mean, Puckett will hit his home runs now and again, but Herbeck's always been the big slugger. They've always depended on his production. Wow, where was that? 3-1. Must have been outside.
That's what McCaskill's thinking.
Base hit made a run for the Twins here. McCaskill has allowed 2 hits in the inning, has retired only 1 batter, Knobloch, but as a result of the busted hit and run play, he's got 2 men down. Puckett away from second. The outfield deep and around toward right. 3-2.
If you're going to throw Herbeck a fastball, you want to have it above the belt. And I mentioned earlier that McCaskill is throwing a little harder now than before. It's a good fastball up, and Herbeck can't get to it. Middle of the plate in and up is the ideal place to throw the fastball to Herbeck.
There's Guillen. He was shaded toward the middle. And Ozzie throws out Kent Herbeck. Thomas with a big stretch over there. So we'll be seeing the White Sox. Sunday night baseball from Chicago. The White Sox best in the West, at least up till now. And there's Gene Lamont, the manager of this ball club, hoping to take them into the postseason for the first time in 10 years. The batting order: Tim Raines, the veteran, left field; Steve Sachs, the designated hitter; Frank Thomas, MVP leader; Ellis Burks hitting cleanup; Bo Jackson is in right field batting 5th; Robin Ventura, a down year, but a lot of big hits nonetheless; Craig Graybeck at second base; Joey Cora with the night off; Ron Karkovice got 17 home runs; and Ozzie Guillen is at shortstop hitting 9th. On the mound, Eddie Guardado. He's from the Stockton, California area. Grew up idolizing Fernando Valenzuela and got to face Fernando this year earlier. A real thrill. So far, he's been a little bit overmatched at the big league level.
Well, he has average stuff, meaning it's basic fastball, curveball. They want him to throw a changeup like Fernando, and that will make his fastball more effective. But he hasn't learned that pitch yet.
So here's Rock. Tim Raines to lead it off, switch hitter. Raines hitting .290, got 13 homers. Raines is hitting for more power this year than in most years past, but stealing a lot less than ever before. Only 12 steals. Does have a .390 on base average. So still gets aboard, sets the table for the big guns. A ball and a strike now. Now, there's been a lot of talk here in Chicago about the fact that the Cubs have actually been outdrawing the White Sox, even though the Cubs are way out of the race in the National League East. And the White Sox are atop the American League West. And one thing that's been said is that you come to Comiskey and the crowd is just so quiet. Even some of the players have rather complained about the passive nature of the fans here. And you can hear it right now, just how quiet it is. It's a very good crowd here at Comiskey, but very, very quiet.
Sometimes the crowds mirror their players also.
Well, it's deep down the left field line. Hooking foul. A ball and 2 strikes to Tim Raines. The coaches for Chicago: Doug Mansolino is over at first base, and Terry Bevington is the third base coach. Bevington, a holdover from the Jeff Torborg managerial regime. And there's a look from way above the action here. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
My point about the emotion was Ron Schuler, the general manager, has said that he feels like they do not play with enough intensity at times. They do not show a lot of emotion. Sometimes the fans get a little complacent because of that.
Base hit. So Range is aboard. For the Minnesota Twins, it's been a very strong club defensively.
Well, a little different. Kirby Puckett is playing center field as well as right field now, and tonight he's in right field. And Chuck Knobloch is second base, very good defensive second baseman. Not a lot of range, but makes all the plays.
Right after the All-Star break, in fact, when the Twins were in Baltimore, they made the move with Mack going to center and Puckett going to right, and Puckett said, hey, I see now that this is for the best. Maybe I have lost a step. Some people think so. And I'm a right fielder now. The younger guy will go out to center field. Kirby, I think, also saw that maybe it would help prolong his career a little bit. A little less ground to have to cover in right field. He resisted the move a couple of years ago on the track. But he's out there now. And he might go back to center field if Mack has a night off, something like that.
Right. Well, that's what the other night he played center. Mack had the night off.
And back to the bag is Range. Range only 12 steals, and he'd been caught 7 times. Early in the season, he got injured on a steal attempt. The White Sox home opener, in fact, and damaged his thumb and missed a real long period of time.
He's 5th on the all-time list with his 742 steals. He has only one behind, well, he trails only Ricky Henderson, Lou Brock, and Frankie Frisch. So those are the 3 people who are in front of him.
Now, last year, Tim Raines stole 45 bases. This was kind of astounding. I mean, 45 just a year ago, 51 the year before that, 49 the year before that at Montreal. There he goes. Sachs hitting the ball. Pulled out of the dirt to throw by Hale, and Herbeck pulled it out. So Raines has moved along on the hit and run play by Steve Sachs. And that brings up the big hurt, Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas talked to us before the game, assessing his own MVP chances.
I think my chances are very legitimate. I've had a very full season here. I've hit for average, hit for power, and I'm in the leaders in all 3 of the categories. So I feel, and my team's in first place, and I feel my chances are very good this year.
I think so. There's ball 1. Now, you've got Ellis Burks on deck, and he's had a pretty good year. But he hasn't had the kind of year this guy's having. 317, 35 homers, 106 runs batted in, which now is 2nd in the league because Albert Bell moved ahead of him today. Bell got a couple against the Yankees. He's got 108. But as you pointed out at the top of the telecast, 2nd best RBI production of the club this year is 69.
These are the types of situations here where you find out that they really do not want to pitch to Frank Thomas and let, you know.
There's a long drive. He decided to pitch to him. Big mistake. Number 36 for Thomas, and now he's tied with Bell for the Major League lead with 108 RBIs. And what a shot this was.
Yeah, but why do you throw him this pitch belt high in the middle of the plate? And as soon as he touches it, he knows it's a home run. And the pitcher is upset, but should have thought about that before he threw it. I don't see how you pitch to him in that situation.
Now here's Ellis Burks. Frank Thomas. 0-1 the count to Ellis Burks. Burks, the former Red Sox, hitting .289, 16 homers, 66 batted in for the White Sox. Burks still with some back problems that limited him with the Red Sox the last couple of years. But obviously they're not limiting him too much here. He still has to usually every week get a day off. Trying to find out where that ball landed. I mean, that was just a massive shot by Frank Thomas. Outside from Guardado. A ball and 2 strikes to Ellis Burks. 13 13 first-inning home runs for Frank Thomas this year. The White Sox have been a great first-inning club all year, so you have to figure Frank Thomas is one of the big reasons. 2-2. More than a third of his home runs have come in first innings.
Well, they still think they can get him out in the first inning, and then they realize after the first at bat, well, that wasn't a good idea after all.
Struck him out. 2 down.
There's Frank. Take a look at this home run and see how far it goes. You see that's about 30 rows up. Going to look to the right of the security guard. It's going to be to the right of the security guard right here. And you can see how long that home run was, about 30 rows deep.
Now here's Bo. He hit the tape measure shot himself, but to right field. They measure that Frank Thomas home run at 427 feet. Now, it's 375 to the fence in left center. So he cleared that wall by more than 50 feet. Bo hit one 446 the other way. Of course, Bo's always had great opposite field power. It's one thing that has not changed for Bo. He's doing his U.L. Washington impression there, though, with the toothpick.
Yeah, U.L. Washington, Sam Toothpick Jones, Jimmy Wynn. A lot of players used to use it, keep a toothpick in their mouth.
Bo's got 12 home runs this year and 231 at-bats. It's not bad. About 1 every 19 at-bats. 35 batted in. And, of course, he made a great return to the big leagues opening day here at Comiskey against the Yankees. He hit a pinch hit home run. His first homer after the hip operation, the hip replacement. Down on strikes. Good slider from Guardado. But 2 runs for the White Sox, and Frank Thomas maybe got a few votes for MVP right here. 2-0 Chicago after 1. Top of the second inning from Comiskey Park. I'm John Miller along with Joe Morgan, your Sunday night baseball telecasters. And it's the look from the Family Channel blimp. I was thinking that, Joe, maybe Marty Arnoff pointed out, that ball was such a booming shot that maybe somebody in the Family Channel blimp may have caught it up there. Here is Dave Winfield.
Dave has been into a little slight slump lately, in that I think because he's closing in on the 3,000 hit mark, you want to get it as quickly as possible, and you may start pressing a little bit. He has not been swinging the bat well the last week or so.
Next on the list is Roberto Clemente. When he ties Clemente, he'll reach a rather select club. 0-2 to Winfield. He got 19 homers, 65 batted in, hitting .271. Winfield, who drove in the winning runs in the World Series clincher, the Toronto Blue Jays last October. Check swing. Graybeck. And there is one away. Winfield gone.
Well, when you get 3,000 hits, or you get that close, it's very difficult, to keep your concentration as it was beforehand. There you see the numbers as he's progressed to 2,988 right here in 1993.
One down. Here's Brian Harper. Ball 1 from Kirk McCaskill.
John, I want to correct something I said earlier. Tim Raines needs 1 more stolen base to tie Eddie Collins at 743.
Harper, 315 hitter, and Raines grabs it. Out number 2. 2 down in the second inning, and now Chip Hale is coming up. 2-0, the White Sox out in front. I know you're still going over and over in your mind about that pitch to Frank Thomas.
Yes.
Why it wasn't in the dirt or a foot outside.
Exactly, or inside, off the plate. I think you're better off throwing him inside off the plate. If he wants to swing at it, you can jam him because he doesn't like the ball in. But to throw it over the middle of the plate is asking for a 2-0 deficit, and that's what he got.
Well, how about this, Joe? Now, this is just a guess on my part. Of all of the options on the pitch there, no way Thomas could have been looking for it belt high right down the middle.
Well, I disagree with you because
maybe he thought he'd fool him.
Well, that's true. But if you're a hitter, you say, well, look, maybe he will give me one that I can handle. Maybe he wasn't looking in the middle, but one that he could handle. Pete Rose once made a statement to me, to be honest with him, and I think it applies a little bit here. He said, Joe, if pitchers were really smart, we'd all hit 198. He said, because they wouldn't make mistakes or wouldn't give in to us.
Maybe he just said, hey, I saw him get some lobs in batting practice that he didn't hit out. That's what it looked like, didn't it? Batting practice. The only thing that was missing in that swing by Frank Thomas, that whole sequence, was that Walt Riniak, the hitting instructor, wasn't standing 10 feet away to talk to him about his swing. That's good, Frank. Yeah, keep the head down. Yeah, get the arms out there. Good. Very good form. Yeah. There's Walt Riniak, hitting instructor for the White Sox. Frank Thomas, his prized pupil. And Chip Hale, with a count of 1-2 Hale, out of the University of Arizona. He played the 1986 College World Series championship team.
I was there.
Former twin Jerry Kindle, right, was the coach of that ball club.
I was broadcasting the game for ESPN, the College World Series.
Did you predict that this guy would be in the show one day?
Yes, I really thought he would be, and I saw Ventura when he had the 51-game hitting streak at Oklahoma State.
2-2 the count to Chip Hale.
In fact, in Ventura's case, he hit a line drive in the first inning between first and second and went off the glove of the second baseman, and they gave the guy an error. I thought it was a base hit, or it should have been scored a base hit. It was a line shot. It wasn't a ground ball.
You're still angry about it.
Well, Ventura was a little more upset than I was, but it should have been a base hit.
2-2 to Chip Hale. Hale went to a high school in Moraga, California. That's a beautiful Moraga, California, beautiful town.
How close to where we were raised.
Yeah. Beautiful university out there. St. Mary's College. Actually, St. Mary's College, not university. The Gales, the Galloping Gales. He went to high school out there. And as a high school ball player, he was all Northern California in baseball and all conference in football. An all-around athlete. His actual name is Walter William Hale. Ellisburg's over in left center. 3 up and 3 down. McCaskill with the lead intact. We'll see Robin Ventura when we get back. Sunday night baseball game of the week continuing from Comiskey Park, Chicago. The first place White Sox with a chance to gain ground on the Texas Rangers, who were beaten today by the Baltimore Orioles, and would like to win to keep Kansas City from gaining ground. Kansas City defeated the Red Sox today in 12 innings. Here is Robin Ventura, and it is ball one. Ventura, 26 years of age now, out of Oklahoma State. Ventura, 19 homers, 69 driven in. That one is a drive way back there. Mack is back. Wow, what a play. Wait a minute. Yeah, he got it. Ventura's rounding the bases in his home run trot. Robin, tough luck, baby.
Well, Mack got a good jump on the ball. Looked like it was going out. He takes a look to see where the fence is. Now he looks back up, hits his heel of his glove.
Oh, hold on, baby.
Well, we'll assume he caught it. Now let's see if it doesn't hit the fence. Make sure it doesn't bounce off of the fence. No.
He trapped it.
Looks like he caught it.
Of course, whether it hit the fence or not, the umpire couldn't have seen it.
Right, and his back to the home plate, blocked it, but it looked like he made the catch.
I think so. Great play by Shane Mack. That's why he's out in center field. He was a Gold Glove left fielder.
Right.
This Minnesota ball club, unlike many teams that are way down in the stands, they will play good defense. They will hustle, and this is the same brand of ball you'll see for the Twins now and when they were a champion.
Well, one thing, John, if you play in the Metrodome, you better play good defense. You can't give the other team a lot of extra outs.
Greg Graybeck, the hitter. Guardado gets him to foul it off. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Graybeck.
John, let's take another look at Shane Mack's catch on Ventura's fly ball into right center field. Now, we see it hit off the heel. Right there, it bounces away towards the fence, and he smothers. I think he got it before he got to the fence. Good play.
Strike 3. Graybeck down on strikes for out number 2. 3 strikeouts already for Guardado. The aerial shots for tonight's game are being provided by the Family Channel blimp. High above the stadium at about 1,000 feet up. It's 132 feet long. It's being piloted tonight by Steve Tomlin. And there's the old home plate area in what is now a parking lot across the street from the old Comiskey Park. The baseline, you can see the right field line from the old Comiskey runs parallel to what is now the left field line in the new ballpark just across the street.
I'm glad to see they're showing some respect for home plate and not parking cars on top of it.
Although they are parking cars along the left and right field line.
That's okay. Just don't do it at home plate.
Leave those batters boxes alone.
Yeah.
2-0 the count. That's foul off to the right. 2 balls and a strike. It was really eerie when this park was in its first year, because they really didn't start tearing down the old ballpark until this one actually opened. And then all during that season, whenever you'd come here, you'd have to see the latest stage of destruction of the old ballpark, which was kind of a downer for a lot of people who have been going to the old park for many years. And here's the new one. It is truly a state-of-the-art ballpark. And they had huge crowds in here all through the first year that it was open, and last year as well. But attendance is down a little bit, even though the club is a good one. And so that's been a topic of discussion on the talk shows and the newspapers in town as to why that is. There's Ozzie Guillen on deck. 2 down, nobody on. Shallow right field, Kirby Puckett a long run. Knobloch going out. Knobloch takes it between Puckett and Herbeck. And that's the inning. We're heading to the third, 2-0. John Miller, Joe Morgan. The White Sox, after this series, which will conclude here tomorrow night, they got 1 game left. Got a tough road trip coming up. They're going to New York and then to Detroit, and the Tigers are suddenly red hot again, Joe.
Well, the Detroit Tigers are starting to swing the bats well again, getting some well-pitched ball games, and when they do that, they're going to be in the race.
And when you go to Yankee Stadium this year, it's like the old days. It's a tough place to go when you're from out of town. The Yankees have been beating up on teams at Yankee Stadium. Here we go to the third inning. Frank Thomas has been beating up on the Twins so far in this one. Thomas, 2-run first-inning homer, putting the White Sox out in front. David McCarty, guy the Twins are hoping will evolve into a very fine big league hitter. Hasn't happened yet. McCarty with a curveball for a strike. Another college star out of Stanford, which has really been producing some top-notch big leaguers of late. McCarty really struggling at the big league level, and McCaskill throws him a strike. McCarty hitting only .217, and in 226 at-bats, he has only 10 RBIs and only 1 home run. Sounds like a guy who's not ready to be here.
Well, like most young players, he has trouble with the breaking ball, especially the slider.
McCaskill makes short work of it. There is 1 away. Coming up Wednesday night baseball, the Giants and the Braves, the 2 Giants battling it out. Barry Bonds, Matt Williams and company. Fred McGriff, Dave Justice, and the Atlanta Braves. Going to throw in all of those great pitchers too. Tuesday, Swift and Maddox. That Wednesday night ball game on ESPN, Hickerson and Smoltz, and Thursday, Burkett and Avery. So They'll be going head-to-head. The Giants way ahead tonight, so it looks like they'll remain 4 games up on the Braves. The Giants will play tomorrow as the Braves have a day off before that series begins on Tuesday. So tune in 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, Wednesday night baseball. The Giants and the Braves. Let's see. I said the 2 Giants. One is the Giants. The 2 behemoths of the National League West. How about that? This is Jeff Rabelais, utility infielder, hitting .236. There's the score out in Joe Robbie Stadium. 9-3, San Francisco, top of the 9th inning. Todd Benzinger had a 3-run homer in that ball game for San Francisco. 3-0 to Rabelais. And 3-1 now in the National League West. And that will change with the Giants' victory. And it looks like they might be able to hang on to it. There will be 4 up in Atlanta, 84-45. The Giants have not won a ball game since last Sunday when they came from behind and defeated the Marlins. They lost to Florida Friday night. Then yesterday was a day off. They did not play. And of course, they had lost all 3 to the Braves during the week.
Well, you mentioned Todd Benzinger. He becomes a very important player for the Giants now because Will Clark is injured and on the disabled list. So Benzinger, who had been doing very well, will be a key player for them now.
Shane Mack, he singled his first time. Rabelais at first, 1 out. McCaskill somehow walking the 9th place hitter. I'm thinking McCaskill needed one of those Guardado fastballs at the belt somewhere to a guy like Rabelais that Guardado threw to Thomas. Shouldn't have thrown it to Thomas. McCaskill should have thrown it to Rabelais, I think.
Well, again, we talked about at the beginning, McCaskill seems to have a little better fastball tonight than I've seen him in the past. Part of that is from working out of the bullpen. He's been able to work on his mechanics a little bit more and straighten himself out because he needs a good fastball because you cannot consistently stand out there and just throw slider and forkball and changeup and win in the major leagues. You have to throw some fastballs.
It's Rabelais over at first. 2-0, White Sox ahead. That's a fair ball just inside the bag. Digging it up is Bo Jackson. Down to third goes Rabelais. Holding it first with a single is Shane Mack.
Well, Shane Mack was late on the fastball, but he gets it inside the bag between Frank Thomas and the bag. Watch, this fastball is up and out over the plate. He's a little late on it and drills it right inside the bag. Frank Thomas tries to short hop it, can't come up with it. And the Twins have runners at first and third now after the walk, as you mentioned, and the base hit.
I don't just can't figure. Rabelais getting a walk there. And he is in trouble now. Knobloch, the hitter, curves him for a strike. 0-1. Don Denkinger, senior umpire in the American League, behind home plate. Shulock at first. Tim Cheetah, who ironically is from the Twin Cities, from St. Paul. At second base, Gary Cedarstrom at third. That's Don Denkinger. 0-1 the count to Knobloch. He flied to shallow right his first time. The middle infield double play depth. Ventura pulled in a bit at third. Thomas on the bag with a runner at first. Right in there. Strike 2.
It's a little different defense this time. Last time, the shortstop Ozzie Guillen was playing farther over towards second base. The outfield was farther around to the right. Ventura was over toward the shortstop hole. Now they're just playing pretty much straight away. A little different alignment.
0-2 the count. Mack is back at first.
What that would tell you if you were on the bench is that they're going to throw him more breaking balls. They started him off with a breaking ball. Then they came with a fastball inside. And you would think that they're going to throw him either another breaking ball or come inside. So they're playing him according to the way they're going to pitch him this time at bat. And obviously, that's the way you should play your hitters. Yeah.
Ball. Too high, though. 1-2.
Let's take a look at this breaking ball. It's not where the catcher catches it. It's where it crosses the plate. See, it's high there, but by the time the Karkovice catches it, it is down into the strike zone.
1-2. One out, runners at first and third. White Sox ahead 2-0 in the third. The Twins with their first threat. Puckett is on deck. Nothing was happening there. This is a hit-run combination here, the Knobloch and Mack. There is Rebele over third base. And Mack at first. Kirk McCaskill with a 1-ball, 2-strike count to Chuck Knobloch. Reach for and little flare. Thomas gives way to Grayback in foul ground. Grayback fires it into the plate. Now he threw the ball into the plate there, but McCaskill was over at first base and there was nobody backing up home plate.
Actually, a very good play by Grayback. And watch, this is a breaking ball away. He's going to get a breaking ball out here, and Knobloch just reaches out and pokes it, trying to put the ball in play. There's a slider away, and he just reaches for it, pops it down the right field line. And actually, if Frank Thomas would have caught the ball, Rebele probably would have been able to score because Thomas had it back to the infield. So it was a good play by Grayback to call him off.
Was McCaskill supposed to be backing up the plate on that play?
He should have been, yes.
McCaskill went over to first base. Here is Kirby Puckett, who singled his first time. Ball one. So Knobloch unable to get that runner home from third base. And they leave it to Kirby Puckett.
The last pitch was a very good pitch by McCaskill. The problem with Knobloch was he took the first two pitches, both being up in the strike zone. Easy to hit a fly ball off of those pitches. Not so easy to hit a fly ball off the last pitch.
1-ball, 1-strike to Kirby. Here's Chuck Knobloch. The rookie helped him in that World Series against Atlanta, 1991. Just putting together a very good career. He's a kind of a hard-nosed player.
Good, solid second baseman. But he was under a lot of pressure as a rookie playing the World Series playing that year, and he played very well.
Mack back to first. Mack the possible tying run here. Kirby Puckett up to 302 now.
It'll be interesting to see how they pitch Puckett. They've stayed away the first pitches they've thrown him. I think you have to mix up a lot of pitches inside to make the pitch a way effective one.
Off the right field line. Thomas, Grayback, and Bowe all give chase. No play for any of them.
What happens is when you throw a fastball inside, as he did there, and Puckett's late on it, it gets in the back of his mind that you can get the fastball in on him. And when he thinks about the fastball in, it opens up the outside part of the plate for you, especially with a breaking ball or a hard slider. So you have to set him up by moving the ball around. He is such a good hitter.
Kirby Puckett only 41 hits away from 2,000 hits.
And they're going to go inside again, John. Just want to see if he sets him up well. Yeah.
Popped him up. And Grayback takes it. And the Twins let the great opportunity go by. Good work by McCaskill. White Sox. We go to the last of the third. Kirby Puckett retired to end that threat.
And good pitching by McCaskill. The last two pitches were on the inside corner. Kirby was protecting out here with 2 strikes. These last pitches right here ties him up inside. Watch him. He pulls his arms in to get to it and pops it up. In the first inning, we saw such good extension from Kirby on a ball out over the plate, and he lined it to center field. When you shorten your arms, you pop up a lot of balls.
And there's a pop-up by Isaac Ian, out of play on 1. Ian. There was fear that maybe his career was over after the serious injury that he suffered last year, but he's back. He worked hard to get back. And he, again, is one of the premier shortstops in the game. Isaac Ian. He's hitting .269. Base hit. Third hit for the White Sox. And we'll go to the top of the order now. Guillen last year suffered 2 torn ligaments in his right knee. He tore the anterior cruciate and medial collateral ligaments. He had surgery in April of last year and immediately began rehabilitation.
I only described that, John, because I had the same thing.
You did?
Yeah, it's called O'Donoghue's terrible triad.
And did you recover?
Stole something like 800 bases after that. No, in my dreams. But no, I mean, it was a very difficult injury to come back from, and you really, really have to work very hard. So I commend Ozzie for getting back to the point where he is now. He still has a lot of work to go, because I could tell he still has a slight limp.
Jim Raines, the hitter, singled his first time, and the count goes to 2 balls and no strikes. Eddie Guardado, the pitcher from Minnesota. ESPN Sunday Night Baseball from Chicago. Comiskey Park, the first place White Sox, leading Minnesota 2-0 here. Kirk McCaskill on the hill for the White Sox, the veteran, and the rookie Eddie Guardado is pitching for Minnesota. Tim Raines 1 for 1. And now 2 for 2. Guillen is going to try for third. Mack, I think, was surprised. Guillen makes it to third with nobody out.
Well, maybe he doesn't have as far to go as I thought. He has rounded second base and put it into another gear. And I believe you're correct. Mack was not expecting Guillen to try for third base. Tim Raines singles to center field. Now Mack comes in. He actually charged the ball pretty well, came up firing, but good heads-up play by Guillen. Gets him to third base with no one out.
I think as he was charging, he saw Guillen slow up, and then when he put his head down to field the ball, he had no thought of having to make a throw. There goes Tim Raines, and he has tied Eddie Collins in the all-time list. Eddie Guardado must never have heard of Tim Raines. Not even a throw that time.
Well, often when you get a good jump on a left-hander, there will not be a throw. Raines is running with his head down, so it's a straight steal, not a hit-and-run situation. And he goes in with stolen base number 743 in his career.
So runners at second and third. Sacks the hitter. Did he swing on a low slider? He checked, and the count goes to 2-0. Sacks grounded to second, or rather grounded to third on a hit-and-run play his first time. Great opportunity here for the White Sox, and you see Dick Such, the Minnesota pitching coach, on the phone to the bullpen. Frank Thomas is on deck. Guardado in all kinds of trouble now. That is foul. The infield pulled in at the corners. The shortstop Reveille and the second baseman Knobloch are back. Normal depth.
John, again, this is the situation that I think is the most misunderstood situation in all of baseball. Runners at second and third, no one out. I still feel that the hitter should take the ball to the right side. If he hits a ground ball to the second baseman, Raines will move to third, and the runner from third, Guillen, will score.
But that'll get him home. Reveille thought about going to third to get Raines, but he gets sacks at first as Guillen scores to make it 3-0. Raines made it to third, sort of a daring play by Raines.
Well, it was not a good play, actually, and Reveille should have thrown him out. What happened was Reveille and the third baseman what happened was Reveille did not get a good angle to throw Tim Raines out. He should have been able to throw him out.
Now the infield comes in for Frank Thomas. And it's ball 1 inside. Now again, as was the case the last time when Thomas was up there, first base is open. But on a 2-0 pitch, Guardado threw a fastball right down the middle at the belt. Thomas hit it 427 feet. Up and in again, ball 2. So here it is again, 2-0. Over at third base is Raines. Thomas now tied for the Major League runs batted in leadership with Albert Bell, 108 apiece. Well, Thomas not content just to take a walk here. Went for a pitch that might have been out of the zone and fought it off.
Well, that pitch was definitely inside, and that's where I feel that you should pitch him in situations. If he wants to swing at it, let him go ahead and swing. He's not going to hurt you with a long ball if you stay off the plate inside. But I think Frank Thomas should expand his strike zone in this situation.
Keeping it inside, a drive to left field, deep enough to get the run home. And here comes Raines. Now that is some strength. 4-0 Chicago. The third RBI of the game for Thomas, number 109 for the year.
And that's what I've talked to you about before with Frank Thomas. Don't just stand there and take a walk in that situation. Swing at some pitches that may be off the plate inside. This pitch is not a good pitch for him to hit. It's inside. But he's strong enough that he can muscle the ball to the outfield. See, that ball is way off the plate inside. He can't hit it out of the ballpark, but he can get it into the outfield, which he does. Not a good swing, but he's strong enough to get the run in, and that's all that matters.
So 2 down and nobody on, but 2 runs in for the White Sox, and here is Ellis Burks. It's a called strike.
But, John, the only reason that was successful was because Chip Hale and Reveille did not work together on the ground ball by Sachs. They should have had Tim Raines at third base.
And that's a ball. In other words, Raines would have been out, and Sachs would have been at first with Thomas up there. On the other hand, maybe Thomas then would have hit a home run.
He probably would have. Because he probably would have thrown the pitch out over the plate.
Pitch outside, ball 2, 2-1. Well, remember Tony Pena, when Frank Thomas was just getting started in this league, talked about how adaptable Thomas was at the plate, how he would adapt from at bat to at bat, and sometimes from pitch to pitch. If you kept throwing him inside, Pena said he noticed that all of a sudden Thomas edged 4 or 5 inches further away from the plate.
Yeah. Well, you have to make adjustments. That's what hitting in the major leagues is all about, making adjustments to what the pitcher does to you.
And that's ball 4 to Ellis Burks. Now the Minnesota bullpen is busy as Guardado continues to struggle, and there is Mike Hartley, former Dodger, former Philly, warming up. And now Dick Such will go to the mound, the pitching coach, to speak with Eddie Guardado. Frank Thomas, by the way, now with 36 home runs, which he hit number 36 in the first inning this evening. And that is only 1 off the all-time White Sox single-season home run record. Dick Allen. Back in 1972, Allen hit 37 homers. And by the way, he won the MVP award that year. And Carlton Fisk equaled that all-time White Sox home run record in 1985 when he hit 37. Frank Thomas, his next homer, will tie him with those 2 for the all-time single-season record, which he seems a sure thing to break.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here simply because Richie Allen was one of the greatest sluggers I've ever seen. It was a little tougher to hit it in the old Comiskey than it is in this Comiskey, than the new Comiskey.
Yeah.
Old Comiskey was a lot tougher to hit home runs to left field.
Especially at that time.
Right.
It was 352 down the line. It was 445 or so to
exactly.
It was a pitcher's ballpark.
And not to take anything away from Frank Thomas, because this is a normal ballpark now. The other one was just extremely tough to hit the ball out in.
Bo Jackson 0-1 the count. Bo struck out his first time. Burks at first, 2 down. Third inning, White Sox ahead 4-0. Well, in 1972, that was definitely a great pitcher's year.
Right.
So much so that when the season ended, this is the year that Allen won the MVP award, the owners of the American League decided to go with an experiment called the designated hitter rule, which they implemented in 1973. But that also puts a little perspective on where Richie Allen was in 72, in a tough hitter's ballpark, a great place for pitchers, and in a league that at the time was really heavily weighted in favor of the pitcher.
I knew you would help me out if I asked for it.
It's the one time I've agreed with you. 0-2 the count to Bo Jackson, base hit. Down to second goes Burks.
Well, Bo was a little late on the fastballs before, fouling them off down the right field line. He turns on this ball. Look at the high leg kick by Bo. Fastball in, and he used his hands. Watch, he used his hands really well on this pitch. Watch how he just throws his hands at the ball, and he's strong enough to muscle it through the left side of the infield.
He's still got that quickness.
Yeah.
Now Robin Ventura, 2 on, 2 out. White Sox with a chance to almost put Twins away right here. Ventura was robbed of extra bases on Shane Mack's sensational running catch in center field back in the second inning. And Shane, 2 on, 2 out, 2 in, 4-0 White Sox. That's a ball. That was awfully close. 2-0 the count. Even Tom Kelly, when he talks about Guardado, talks about, well, he came up from Double-A, and you know, maybe he still needs to be there, but we're giving him a shot. That is a fair ball. Into the corner it goes. Burks is scoring. Jackson is being waved home. The relay by Knobloch, not nearly in time. A 2-run double for Robin Ventura. 6-0 Chicago.
Well, Guardado is finding out you cannot pitch from behind. He threw Frank Thomas a 2-0 fastball, and it landed in the left field seats. Now he throws Robin Ventura one, and he drives in 2 more runs with a bullet inside the line at first base. If you do not have a great fastball, you better get ahead of the hitters, or at least not have them sit on 2-0 pitches, as we see Bo Jackson score very easily from first base.
RBI 70 and 71 for Ventura, and Guardado is out. Moments ago, back in the dugout. Congratulations to Bo Jackson. He had the artificial hip, and then Isaac Ian gave him the business.
Who says they don't show any emotion? They don't get excited. That's good fun from teammates, and Bo takes it and laughs about it and goes into the clubhouse. Probably going to work on his bike, ride a little bit.
And of course, Isaac Ian, he can kid around with Bo because he just underwent a very serious operation and rehab himself. In many ways, it's almost as miraculous that he's back from the serious injury. Here is Craig Graybeck against the new pitcher, Mike Hartley, and first ball swinging. Graybeck has a base hit. Here comes Ventura, and he will score run number 7 for the White Sox. 7-0 Chicago.
There's a look at Guardado, who will be back. I mean, he has a good enough fastball and a slider. He just needs to develop another off-speed pitch. That will make his fastball a little better. You can see he's dejected. Naturally, you're going to be dejected when you give up 4 runs. Now 5. That one's charged to him also. It is now a 5-0 lead. 7-0 lead. He's given up 5 this inning, I'm talking about.
Archivice. And it's playable for Herbeck. And at long last, the inning is over. 9 men back for the White Sox. 5 of them score. And we go to the 4th inning now. 7-0 Chicago.
These guys aren't so tough. I've got Wonder Bat.
You're unbelievable.
He hit a 400-foot home run off me, Coach.
My God, it was the most exciting thing I ever saw.
You're so unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
You're unbelievable.
A message from Major League Baseball.
Comiskey Park on the south side of Chicago is seen from the Family Channel blimp. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan. We're heading into the middle innings now. Inning number 4, Kent Herbeck. The Twins cleanup batter. Fouls it back against McCaskill. And it is 0-1. 7-0. The White Sox out in front here. One thing that, I guess if you're a Texas Rangers fan or a Kansas City Royals fan or even a Seattle Mariners fan, and you have hopes of a fast finish to catch the White Sox. And it's strike 2 to Herbeck. Keep in mind the fact that the White Sox still have all that great talent, number 1. And they got a little history on their side. Very similar back in 1983. First half of the year, the White Sox did not play all that well. They certainly did not run away from anybody. But then In August and September, they went 44 and 15, and they ended up winning the division by 20 games. They were led that year by Lamar Hoyt, Richard Dotson, both won 20 games. That was a drive deep down the left field line into the corner. Extra bases as Raines tracks it down, and Herbeck is into second with a stand-up double. But this White Sox ball club this year, some similarities with the big two in the rotation, McDowell and Fernandez. They got that shot to have that kind of a finish.
You're right. This is a fastball out over the plate, actually where Herbeck likes the ball. He lines it down the left field line. He's not sure if it's going to be fair or not. Now he sees that it's fair, and he says, well, I can only get a double out of it anyway. So he goes into second base with a double.
Well, he may have forgotten how, because that's only his 8th double of the whole season. He got 18 homers, but only 8 doubles. Of course, the Matador, that's a ball club usually associated with lots of doubles. Runner at second, nobody out. Here's Dave Winfield. He grounded to second his first time. Into center field. That is number 2,989. And Dave Winfield is now 11 away from 3,000. First and third, nobody out.
It's another high fastball from McCaskill. He gets in on Winfield's fist a little bit, jams him a little bit, as you can see, and he hits a soft line drive into center field. Winfield a little late on that when he gets jammed, but he'll take it. That's what happens when you're real strong, John. You get jammed, your jam jobs look like line drives to center field.
And still Winfield, I mean, he's coming up on 42 years of age. October the 3rd, he'll be 42. It's Brian Harper. He hits a high fly ball into medium deep left center. This will get Herbeck home as Raines makes the catch. And the throw comes into second. It is 7-1. Brian Harper with the RBI. 7-1 the score now. And let's go to Tom Means.
All right, John, in the National League West, the Giants needed a win in the worst way. They turned to a rookie pitcher, Solomon Torres. His major league debut, 6 strikeouts, including this one against Orestes Estrada. 9-3, the Giants win. What did the Braves do? Dave Justice, his 5th home run in 5 games. They overpowered the Cubs 8-2, so the lead stays at 4 games for the Giants over the Braves in the National League West. John?
Justice is very hot. Here's 7-1 White Sox, and Chip Hale, the hitter, left-handed batter, and he takes 2 high for ball 1. Winfield at first, but I started to say Winfield now closing in on 42 years of age, and has still seemingly not had to make any concessions to age. He's got the same form at the plate as he's always had.
That's interesting you say that, though, John. I talked to him a lot in the last couple of years about what adjustments he has made, and he says he's been making adjustments for the last 5 or 6 years. He didn't wait until he got to be 42 to make adjustments. What he's actually done is just incorporate a lot of different batting techniques, he says, into his style. So he really hasn't had to make any adjustments in the last couple of years, which I find interesting.
And the breaking ball is low with 2-1 the count to Hale with Winfield at first. Well, Winfield, I mean, you remember Yastrzemski in his later years when he got around 3,000 hits and he had that exaggerated stance. The front shoulder was way down and held the bat high. Base hit for Hale. And Winfield will go to second, and he's holding there. 1 out, 2 men on, and David McCarty is coming up. 3 hits in the inning. Tom Kelly, the manager of the Twins, talked about what Dave Winfield has brought to his Twins.
He's a special person. He's in that Nolan Ryan category as maybe the Superman of baseball. Why these people are still playing is a marvel in itself. So again, class individual. He exudes that. It surrounds him. We get our younger players try to hang out with Dave to maybe have some of that rub off.
And Dave Winfield closing in on 3,000. David McCarty still trying to get his big league act together. And he's late in that high fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Well, the worst thing can happen when you have trouble hitting the breaking ball, John. You start to look for the curveball. Then the fastball goes by you, and that's exactly what happened there to McCarty. He was struck out with a couple of breaking balls the first time up, and he's looking for them. Hit
well into center, but an easy play for Burns. And that is out number 2. The runners hold. Tuesday night baseball, a doubleheader starting at 7:30 Eastern. The White Sox at Yankee Stadium. The big hurt, Frank Thomas, will take on Donnie Ballgame. Don Mattingly and the Yankees. Yanks tied for first in the East. The White Sox in first in the West. Then the Toronto Blue Jays tied with the Yankees for first. John Olerud, Joe Carter, Roberto Alomar, Ricky Henderson returning to Oakland. Ruben Sierra and Tony La Russa's Athletics hosting the defending world champion Blue Jays. So what a doubleheader on tap Tuesday night on ESPN. Here is Rebele. Rebele walked his first time. 2 on and 2 out. Twins have not made much of their chances in this game. They've had some chances to get 2 or 3 runs on the board here, but a trailing 7-1. The curveball in there for a strike. 0-2 the count. Rebele, the 9th place hitter in the order. The Twins tonight as a team have had 1 hit in 6 at-bats. And they've had somebody at second base or third base or both. Just barely missing inside. A ball and 2 strikes. Winfield at second, Hale at first. Both men are going anything. Jeff Rebele from Ohio. And the count goes to 2-2. He went to Louisiana State. There's Winfield at second. And Hale at first. Both men are going anything. He also went to junior college at Triton here in Illinois. That's the same school that Kirby Puckett attended. That's foul. Rebele, like Kirby Puckett, was named to the Triton Hall of Fame this past January. He had a brother Jim. In fact, has a brother Jim, who was a second baseman in both the St. Louis and Pittsburgh organizations. He also played hockey in high school. 2-2. And foul off to the right. Rebele hitting only .236 for the Twins. Been a utility man for them. Twins lost Greg Gagne. Went and signed a contract with the Kansas City Royals. Scott Leyes was going to move from third base over to shortstop. Then Leyes got hurt. Rotator cuff problem. He's been out the rest of the year. Now they've traded Mike Pagliarulo, who was a platoon third baseman. A little short on experienced infielders now. That's a ball inside. 3-2 to Rebele. Shane Mack would be next. Twins would like to start chipping away in this lead to make it interesting here. This is a good chance for them to at least get another one out of this. Runners go. The ball is popped up foul. Thomas gives chase, and it's in amongst the spectators down there. 3-2.
And John, that's what you need to do if you are the Twins. You can't get it back all at once, so you try to get 1 here, 2 there, and you know you have plenty of time left in the ball game, so you do not have to panic this early.
Meanwhile, just in case, the White Sox are getting their bullpen ready. See, Tom Kelly, he's got 8 rookies in his current roster, and 7 others with less than 3 years experience. Jose De Leon. Runners go. The ball is hit to center. Burks with an easy play. And the Twins just can't get that big hit. 7-1 White Sox. We go to the last of the 4th.
ESPN Sunday Night Baseball with John Miller and Joe Morgan continues from Comiskey Park in Chicago.
That's the view from the Family Channel. Blip joining us here tonight with Sunday Night Baseball. Last of the 4th inning, the White Sox, who battered around in the 3rd inning, in which they scored 5 times. We'll start with the same man here in the 4th. Ozzie Guillen, his single started that 5-run rally. A swing, strike 1. Ozzie will be followed by Tim Raines and then Steve Sachs. Frank Thomas will be due up 4th in the inning. Next Sunday, we will see these Twins again, by the way. We'll be at the Metrodome. And who knows? How close Dave Winfield will be to 3,000 by then. That's a foul ball off to the left. The free swinging Ozzie Guillen. He'll chase almost anything up there. 0-2 the count. And he will confound the pitchers by getting hits sometimes on ridiculous pitches.
Well, he reminds me a little bit of Kirby Puckett in that he really loves to play baseball. I mean, you can see that he enjoys what he's doing, and he just has fun with it. And baseball is supposed to be fun.
Down on strikes, Ozzie Guillen. So Hartley with the strikeout. His first. We go to leadoff man Tim Raines.
The high fastball after throwing him a couple of off-speed pitches and one away. And you can see the target is up, so he wants to pitch up. And a good fastball. Guillen can't catch up with it. Actually, the hitting style that a lot of the Chicago White Sox use, they're very vulnerable to the high fastball because they stay down low and they keep their heads down, and the high fastball is very tough for them to handle.
Here's ball one to Tim Raines. He's 2 for 2 with 2 runs scored and a stolen base. 1-0 out of the 4th inning, 7-1. The Sox lead the Twins. Next Sunday, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Will be at the Metrodome. The Twins will play the Texas Rangers. We'll see Juan Gonzalez. Shane Mack. Fairly deep center. Now, number 2. Again, that's next Sunday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Juan Gonzalez, who hit 3 home runs last night against Baltimore, tied with Griffey for the league lead in home runs. Kirby Puckett, Dave Winfield, and of course Rafael Palmeiro, that Texas ball club. He's got 32 home runs. The slugging Rangers and the Minnesota Twins at the Metrodome. That's next Sunday night. And the Rangers in second behind the White Sox here in the West. This is Steve Sachs. Ball one. Look out. Sachs is 0 for 2 with a run battered in. Now, that Texas ball club, Joe, I was just down there in Texas this weekend. They've shown some grit. They've had some injury problems. They've had some disappointments in that rotation. Ryan went on the disabled list last night again. And yet, it's been a very resilient ball club. They've had some tough losses and always seem to have bounced back. And the Rangers looked like they were all but dead 8 days ago in Baltimore, losing an extra inning game. And then they went out and won 6 out of 7 right after that, right when they were at their lowest. Hot foul back over our heads and into the upper deck here at Comiskey. 2 balls and a strike to Steve Sachs. So we'll see those Rangers under their manager, Kevin Kennedy. It's a great young talent, Juan Gonzalez.
No, I agree with you, John. They are a very resilient ball club in that they just keep hanging in there. But I think it's because they have so much natural talent that they're able to do that.
Dean Palmer, another young slugger. Ball club. They got Gonzalez with 39 homers, Palmeiro 32, and Palmer with 28. They've developed a very fine rookie center fielder by the name of David House. Of course, they had to overcome the injury to Jose Canseco, which was counting on Jose for some big things this year, as well as Nolan Ryan in his final go-round. Nolan's only been able to pitch 10 times all year.
Maybe the new stadium will do wonders for them next year.
What's that, Nolan Ryan Park?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to name it yet. What was that? The eyes of Texas and the Nolan Ryan Park are on you.
2-2 the count to Sachs. 2 down, nobody on. Hartley misses inside. Full count. Frank Thomas would be next if Sachs could get aboard. 7-1. The White Sox lead the Twins. There's Big Frank. Steve Sachs, an all-star.
Yes.
He's always been a regular until now. It's foul. Hit it hard, but very much foul. Down the left field line. 3-2. Sachs, though, has not complained about his role. I mean, he never even plays second base anymore. He's now a spare outfielder, sometimes DH, a pinch hitter, pinch runner. And you know how intense he's always been.
Yes.
But he'd never gone out, ripped his manager or anybody else. He's accepted his fate. But he's also said, I'll be happy to go anywhere if they'd like to trade me. Ball 4, so here comes Frank Thomas now, with Sachs having walked. Frank Thomas with his 36 home runs now. Started slowly. And as the weather heated up, so did he. And 9 so far here in August.
Not many days left in August, though, John.
The Big Hurt. Good guys wear black. 7-1. Sox leading the Twins.
I saw an interview on ESPN with Frank Thomas, and they asked him about his nickname. He said this is the first nickname that he's had that he liked. You know, the Big Hurt. He said he considers it to be he's putting a big hurt on the baseball and also on his opponents. That's the way he takes the nickname, the Big Hurt.
I like it.
He likes it. And the White Sox fans like it.
Well, it's unanimous.
Yeah.
0-1 the count. There goes Sachs. They pitch out. Uh-oh.
Everybody's got everybody's signals tonight, John.
I need some things explained about this game to me, Joe. Top of the order coming for the Twins. Seven 7-1, Chicago leading Minnesota as Frank Thomas gets ready to bat.
But, John, if you hit the ball back here, you have to muscle the ball. When you get the barrel of the bat out in front of the plate, it's not any muscle involved, just a long home run for Frank Thomas. So he gets the barrel right out in front. And it lands deep in the left field.
427 feet away from home plate, they estimated. Over the 375 marker out there, and then well beyond. Thomas with another RBI his last at bat, now facing Hartley for the first time, and there is ball one. Hartley, who must feel very confident in his ability to get Thomas out because he walked Steve Sachs with Thomas coming up the last time, although Sachs then was thrown out trying to steal to win the inning. Maybe that was the plan. We let Sachs walk and let him steal second so they could just go ahead and walk Frank Thomas.
Well, Hartley's going to try to stay in tight on him. That fastball, the first fastball was up and in. That was on the inside part of the plate. If you're going to pick a spot, you have to stay in on it. Then move the ball away. You move the ball in and out, of course, but primarily you want to stay in.
2-1 to Frank Thomas.
The trouble is you pitch him in and you make a mistake about 6 inches and get it over the plate, and it'll cost you another run.
2-2. They kind of fooled on that pitch.
That was a changeup, and he was looking for a fastball, and he got out in front.
Ellisburg's on deck. Bo Jackson due up third in the inning. White Sox have some explosiveness. And some of the people they were counting on this year were unable to deliver. This one is a fair ball. Past the diving Chip Hale, and Thomas will trot into second with a stand-up double. Well, they fooled him once.
Well, John, it's interesting that Chip Hale was playing so far off the line when they threw him 2 changeups in a row. This is a changeup. Watch, it fools him. He's way out in front. He just hits it with his hands. Look at all the room they're giving him with this being a changeup. Normally, you relay to the third baseman that a changeup is coming so that he will move closer to the line. But apparently they did not do that because Chip Hale was playing way off the line for a changeup to Frank Thomas.
Here's some youthful inexperience on the part of Hale.
Right, because they normally will signal changeup is coming, and automatically you lean toward the line a little bit if you have a big slugger up there like Frank Thomas.
Ellisburg's the hitter. He has struck out. He has walked. He has scored a run. 0 for 1. Thomas at second. Nobody out. 7-1. The Sox lead. Here in the 5th. That's a called strike to Ellisburg's with the Bo Jackson on deck. 8 hits now for the White Sox, including the home run by Thomas, a double by Thomas. That double was his 30th. And a double by Ventura in this game. Ellisburg's. One time, I thought he was going to be a budding superstar there at Fenway Park. Came up in 1987. They waited for it to happen, but it never did happen. He had some good years there, but never the big monster years. Then he started having the back problems, and finally they let him go. Even the White Sox, when they signed him to a contract heavily laden with incentives. He would have to be healthy to play the games to get the money, the bulk of it. And, of course, he has, and it's been one of the great off-season signings in baseball. And, of course, any team could have had him.
Well, no doubt that he had something to prove to the baseball world that he could come back. So he's obviously worked very hard over the winter to strengthen his back and get in good shape. And it's paid off for him.
He struck him out.
Hartley's got a good breaking ball and a good changeup. And this is a good curveball towards the outside corner. That's a changeup, not a curveball. It's the same pitches that he was throwing to Frank Thomas, and Thomas was out in front of him.
Bo Jackson, he struck out in the first, but then in that 5-run third-inning rally, he lined a single to left field, just ahead of Ventura's 2-run double. So Bo is 1 for 2. A little bit low. White Sox, when the season started, they were penciling in Ventura for 95 to 100 RBIs, and of course George Bell. Remember, George had 112 RBIs last year. But George has started the year in a terrible slump. Knee problems seem to really limit him. And since now, he's gone on the disabled list and had knee surgery. Consequently, their designated hitter spot has not produced much. Their designated hitters altogether are hitting only .226. And their fourth-place hitters have been, and I'm talking about anybody who's hit fourth all year long, added together, has been the least productive cleanup spot in the majors. There's a strike.
Even more ammunition for why Frank Thomas is so valuable to this ball club.
Thomas has been able to produce despite that, despite not having a Joe Carter hitting behind him, or a Dean Palmer, or somebody of that stature having that kind of a big year. 2-1 the count.
To be perfectly honest with you, though, John, the White Sox could not have expected any more from Bo than what they've gotten. As you mentioned, this is a real good find for them. 12 home runs, 35 runs batted in.
That's a foul ball.
Because he should be better next year. You know, coming off the surgery and sitting out for such a long period of time, it takes a while to get back to hit major league pitching. You can't just take some time off and walk back and hit major league pitching. So
he was gone for 2 years.
Right.
Basically.
So I think he will be better next year. So he has given them more than they should have expected.
Spring training, we saw Bo a lot down in the Sarasota, St. Petersburg area, and nobody at that time knew what to expect, whether he was going to even make the ball club or not. Bo said that, you know, he's always been such a great athlete. They asked him how hard he had to work to rehab to get himself back into condition to play. Strike 3 call. He said, all of the working out I've done my whole life, I did more in the last year.
That is amazing. He's throwing a lot of changeups now. This is a fastball that hits the outside corner. Even though the catcher was set up on the inside corner, he hit the outside corner with a fastball.
Since starting its national tour last year, the Family Channel Blimp has delighted thousands of spectators in more than 40 cities in 20 states across the country. We're glad to have them with us back here in Chicago again. They were high above Wrigley Field last Sunday night and high above Comiskey on the other side of Chicago with us tonight. Glad to welcome them to the Family Channel Blimp to Sunday Night Baseball. Ball 1 to Robin Ventura. Now the man on deck is a right-handed hitter, Grayback, and one who's hitting .215. First base is open. So Hartley does not have to worry about throwing strikes here to Ventura.
But one of the things I remember about Tom Kelly as a manager, he does not like to walk. A lot of hitters give a lot of intentional walks.
On the outside for a strike, 2-1. Hartley's done a pretty good job since he came on anyway.
Well, he has good stuff, and his main pitch is a changeup, but he has a good enough fastball that they have to respect it and stay in the batter's box looking for the fastball, which makes it a lot easier to fool them on the changeup.
7-1, the White Sox ahead. We're in the last of the 5th inning. Thomas, who led off the inning with a double, is at second. The next two hitters, Burks and Jackson, both struck out. 3-1 the count to Robin Ventura. Now second of the club, 71 RBIs. Gene Lamont is quick to defend Ventura. He's not had a real good year, but Lamont says, hey, he still has gotten a lot of very big hits for us, big times in big ball games. Hitting only .252 though. And he gets the walk this time. 2 on with 2 out, and now Graybeck will hit.
Tom Kelly on your right, manager of the Minnesota Twins.
Well, you remember when Ken Griffey Jr. had the home run streak, where he hit a home run each day for 8 straight days? Part of that was against the Twins, and Kelly had a spot or two where he could have just walked him.
Right.
But it was a blowout type game, and he said, hey, let's play the ball game.
Right.
Let's play the game and see what he can do.
Yeah, I respected him for that. I thought that was a good. That was for the good of baseball. You know, and every once in a while, as a manager, as a player, you have to do something for the good of the game. And I think it would have hurt the game more if he would have walked Ken Griffey Jr. in that situation than to pitch to him. And again, I know that he doesn't like to walk people, and they're illustrated by the fewer intentional walks given by any team.
Graybeck with a liner to left. McCarty trapped it. Rounding third, Thomas heading for third, and now heading for home is Ventura. All the way over to third is Graybeck. 9-1 White Sox as the Twins self-destruct. On what started out looking like a very nice defensive play by McCarty, and then one of the worst throws in history.
Well, a nice attempt, as you mentioned, by McCarty. He just can't quite get there. He traps the ball. Now he comes up and he goes to third base instead of going to second to try to get Graybeck. He comes up, fires to third, trying to get Ventura. Now you see the pitcher is backing up third base. Now he races for home, and not in time. John, a great catch by John Miller. I ducked.
Well, we had Alex over here, and he was working on something. Technically, I had to save it.
Well, I knew that it would hurt, so I got out of the way, John.
I'm on the DL now for sure. 1 ball, 1 strike to Karkovice. Next time, Alex, we'll just do this. Alex, heads up. By the way, Hartley, I can report, Joe, is throwing a lot harder than originally we had thought.
He has a good fastball.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Karkovice. He's the, and has long been, the heir apparent to Carlton Fisk. And, of course, no question about that now with Fisk out of baseball. Karkovice says he misses Fisk. Pitch is high. So a lot of the White Sox still miss Pudge Fisk. For a long time, they had reminders around their clubhouse about Fisk. And, of course, the feeling from Karkovice and some of them is, hey, all these years he worked so hard to help build a championship here. It may be happening now. We wish he was here to share it with us. Popped up. Foul ground. Third baseman Reveille, or rather Hale, and that's the inning. 9-1 Chicago. White Sox leading Minnesota, top of the 6th. Dave Winfield, 11 hits away from 3,000. We talked to him about that before the game.
Other than early in my career when I'd shoot for, all the time, 100 RBIs. That was a number each year, but this is a cumulative kind of a thing, and 3,000 is really the first number in terms of hits I've ever really looked at. I don't let it get in the way of my playing every day. I just want to play well every day, but 3,000 hits is something to be proud of. It'll be a good moment.
And I agree with that. 3,000 hits is something to be very proud of.
Dave Winfield is going to defy the odds. You know, he was born the day that maybe the most famous home run in the history of baseball was hit. They called it the shot heard round the world. Culminated the miracle of Coogan's Bluff. The Giants, 13.5 back of the Dodgers, with only 47 games to go, around, say, April the 9th or August the 9th or 10th. The Giants caught the Dodgers and then had a playoff with them. In the bottom of the 9th inning of the final playoff game, the Giants trailing 4-2, 2 men on. Bobby Thompson homered into the left field stands at the Polo Grounds, sending the Giants to the World Series. The most incredible comeback in the history of baseball. 13.5 down with only 47 to play. And on that day, Dave Winfield was born. He was destined to somehow become involved with the game. Of course, on October the 3rd of this year, that'll be 42 years since Thompson's famous homer. 42 years since Winfield was born. Still playing and performing at a high level. Kirk McCaskill, he got things going his way. He's been out of the rotation for a long time, and right now he's trying to show him he's still got something left, and he's done it. He's leading 9-1. Got a 7-hitter going, but each time he's had some trouble, he's made some great pitches. Winfield chased that slider, 2-2.
You know, when he first came up, I saw him hit. He had a bigger hitch in his swing, and I thought he might need some seasoning in the minor leagues because he came right out of college to the major leagues. And he just made the adjustments that he had to make. He shortened his hitch and made his bat a little quicker.
3-2 now. Dave Winfield. I remember some players, Eddie Murray, the Orioles, Mike Flanagan, when he was pitching for the Orioles. They both said they thought Winfield had hit a couple of the hardest hit balls that they had ever seen in the game of baseball. 3-2 to Winfield. And he gets the walk.
And John, the reason for that is because he drops his bat, but he gets the barrel back above the ball, and he has almost sometimes he looks like he's swinging down on the high fastball. And when you hit the back of the ball like that, you'll hit it a little harder. You get a little more backspin on it, and the ball will travel a little faster through there. So he probably has hit some of the hardest line drives that anyone has seen.
Brian Harper coming up. He's lined out to left center, and he's hit a sacrifice fly to left field. Harper 0 for 1, hitting .314. And he takes a strike. Mike Flanagan once gave up a tremendous home run to Winfield, the hardest hit ball he'd ever seen hit, he said, at Yankee Stadium. It landed off to the side of the monuments back where they store an ambulance. And Flanagan wondered just what kind of an incredible blast it was. He said he went out to the bullpen the next day, and of course the monuments are right there adjacent to Monument Park. And he saw on the plaques a couple of the faces in the monuments with the eyes turned to the right where the ball had landed. That was some hard liner. One night Eddie Murray was playing first base. Winfield hit a foul ball on the first base side that hit umpire Al Clark on the thigh. Couldn't move. And Clark thought he'd been killed. Yet it was hit so hard that Clark could not. And Eddie Murray said, hey, I didn't make any jokes about Al Clark getting out of the way. That was the hardest hit ball I'd ever seen in the game, and I was just thanking God that it wasn't hit at me. Dave Winfield, extraordinary athlete, continues to prove it. Right to the second baseman and into a double play. Grayback doubling up Winfield. Dave. I think he was thinking about when he was getting number 3,000 right there.
Well, he was so far off the bag that there was no way for him to get back immediately. Well, Winfield, you can see where he's starting. He's going to second base here, and he's way off the bag by the time the ball is caught. No chance for him to get back. Graybeck just makes the catch and plays catch with Frank Thomas.
Chip Hale. Hale is flied out to left center, and he is singled. Kind of a low line drive, Joe. If you're a runner at first, I mean, I guess you have to make that decision. Is it going to bounce, or is it going to go right to the glove?
Well, when you're trailing 9-1, technically you should never get doubled off, but it's very difficult not to make a move on a line drive.
So he screwed up, you're saying?
No, you said that. I was trying to explain it.
I'm trying to interpret your remarks here. Well, technically, John, like I'm working with William F. Buckley here now. Well, you see, John, technically, a liner of that perspicacity, you would want to get bag to the bag. But however, yeah. Okay, good point, Joe. Frank Thomas will take the play himself. That's the inning. Guillen is coming up. Range and sacks after him. This Date in Baseball presented by Miller Genuine Draft. August 29th, 10 years ago. Richard Dodson won his 15th game. A 3-hitter, and he was on his way to a 22-7 record. The White Sox led the West by 8.5 on this date, but then went 26-6 the rest of the way and won the West by 20. So a little bit of a historical perspective. Remember, Dodson went 22-7 that year, and he was only the second best starter in that ball club. Lamar Hoyt won the Cy Young Award. He went 24-11 that year. Isaac Guillen with a pop fly along the right field line. Long run for Kirby. It's in there, base hit. A long run for Kirby, and it proved to be too long, and Ozzie Guillen has his second hit of the game.
Well, they play Ozzie Guillen around to left field, and that ball dropped right down the right field line. No one close to it, actually. Kirby has a long way to go and just can't get there. He doesn't really get close to it. That's the way to make the play. Wait till it stops rolling, then pick it up.
Now Tim Raines comes up. Raines is 2 for 3 in the game with 2 runs scored, and he has also stolen a base. 9-1 White Sox. Hartley out of the Minnesota bullpen throws a strike to Raines. By the way, little perspective for White Sox fans concerned about their ball club not running away from the division with all of this talent. On this date 10 years ago, they were 73-57. Right now, 71-57. Whether or not they go 26-6 from here on, that's another story. But there are those comparisons. I mean, McDowell got a great chance to win 24. He's got a shot to win more than that. He's got 20 already. And Alex Fernandez with exactly the same number of wins already as Richard Dodson had on this day. Dodson did not get his 15th until today, as you just saw. Fernandez has had 15 for a few days. Could be 2. Knobloch, Rebele to Herbeck. Double play.
Well, it's a well-turned 4 to 6 to 3. Knobloch waits on it because it's hit so sharply. Nice feed. Rebele comes across and gets a little extra on the throw and gets Tim Raines by a step. Well, you know what? I'm going to ask you a question. Do you know why they call him Rock Raines?
No.
Oh, I thought you knew that. Well, because he's built solid like a rock, and he's a stabilizing influence there in Montreal.
Oh, well, I knew that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, ask me again. That same question.
Jim Rice, the former Boston Red Sox player. I played with him in the CGA tournament.
Jim Ed.
Yeah, we played together, and he told me to tell you hello.
As Steve Sachs loops one to shallow center, that's going to be a base hit to keep the inning going for Frank Thomas.
And he also told me to ask you to give me a little Barry White impression. I didn't know you did Barry White. I knew you did Vin Scully and Harry Carey and all the other announcers, but I didn't know you did Barry White.
Well, that's right, little Joe. Now listen up. Frank Thomas is coming up now. And they love it when Frank is up in Chicago, baby. Yeah. With apologies to Barry White, I might add. Frank Thomas, a 2-run homer, a sacrifice fly, and a double. A mighty cut. He didn't get it. It's 0-1.
I must admit, I thought you were going to sing.
Well, Barry White doesn't sing.
Oh, he doesn't?
No.
Oh, okay.
He just has that sexy voice, that's all.
Well, he does have that.
Hello, baby. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That'll be my new album. Off the glove at third. Hale to first. In the dirt. And Harback somehow manages to control it. That is the inning. The wild and wacky sixth is over. We go to the seventh. 9-1 White Sox. Sunday Night Baseball continues from the south side of Chicago. The White Sox, first place in the American League West, and they're looking every bit the first place club tonight, leading 9-1 over Minnesota. I'm John Miller, along with Joe Morgan. Glad to have you with us. A new pitcher has come on for Chicago. Remember, Kirk McCaskill has been working primarily out of the bullpen for the last couple of months. He was placed on the disabled list back in June and has only made one spot start. Since then, that was all the way back on August the 3rd. So he's gone after 6 very strong innings, and now this is Chuck Carey.
Well, he pitched very well.
Down the right field line in the first pitch. David McCarty's got an extra base hit coming here, and just how many bases we'll find out. He's digging for 3 as Bo Jackson fires it in to Guillen. It's a stand-up triple for McCarty.
Well, we pointed out that McCarty has a little problem with the breaking ball. Does not have any problems with the high fastball. As he lines it over the first baseman's head, goes down into the corner. By the time Bo digs it out, McCarty has gone into third base with a leadoff triple.
So Reveille coming up. McCarty, great big guy, 6'5". He's only 22 years of age. He's from Houston originally. The same high school that Greg Swindell went to. He went to Stanford, led the Cardinal with a .336 average in his sophomore year, up to finish third the College World Series. That's foul. Also McCarty for Team USA in 1990 hit .445. That was the best in the club. 1991 at Stanford, he had a 26-game hitting streak, during which he hit .490. Talking about David McCarty, who just hit the triple. He was the Baseball America's College Player of the Year in 1991. Got his economics degree at Stanford. But he may score here. He certainly should. Raines back in deep left center. And McCarty will come on to score. Reveille will get the sacrifice fly. And it is 9-2. White Sox way out in front here at the top of the 7th inning. Now, the White Sox, with a win, will be 4.5 ahead of Texas and 5 up on Kansas City. The Rangers lost today against Baltimore. Kansas City defeated Boston. So at stake for the White Sox, a 4.5 game lead over the division with a win. They've got the Twins here for another ball game tomorrow night. And then they go on the road to New York for 3 and to Detroit for 3. And those are tough places to win this year. Shane Mack, the hitter, behind that fastball. He is 3 for 3 tonight. Shane Mack had a shoulder problem, a little shoulder dislocation in the spring, and came back a little bit too soon. The looper into right field. He's got 4 for 4 tonight. But consequently, although he kept assuring his manager that he was fine, he was not fine, and he did not hit the ball well. He was off to just a painfully slow start. Second half, he's played more like the Shane Mack that you would expect. Now, the White Sox in September, They get 3 at Kansas City. They've not done well against the Royals this year. That's in mid-September. Late September, Texas will come here for 3. And they have a winning record against them. And they have 4 with Seattle right at the end. That is a fair ball. Over the head of Ventura by Knobloch. Heading for third is Mack, and he's in there. And Knobloch has a double. So the Twins facing Chuck Carey. And they're saying, man, we wish this guy'd come in earlier. Kirby Puckett is coming up.
Well, they were playing Knobloch to right field. See the hole between Ventura and the bag. It's a line drive down the left field line. And Mack makes this a double for Knobloch by hustling into third base. Rain's throw comes in a little late. And they have runners at second and third with 1 down.
So Chuck Carey in a little bit of trouble here. He's given up a triple, a sacrifice fly, a single, and a double. 9-2. White Sox ahead. They can cut into that lead considerably here.
Jose De Leon throwing again at the bullpen.
High and foul. And out of play as Frank Thomas gives chase. 0-1 the count. By the way, we're talking about Frank Thomas. And you mentioned Jim Rice earlier, that you saw him today. There's some things about Frank Thomas that kind of remind me of Jim Rice. I mean, Jim Rice had a very quiet stance at the plate.
Yeah, right.
And a guy who hit for power and for average. Kirby chase one there. 0-2 the count. Kirby 1 for 3 in the game. The difference was that it was tough to walk Jim Rice. He went up there to hack.
Yeah, Jim Rice had over 200 hits several times. And he, like you say, he hit, and he hit with power. But it was difficult to walk him.
Oh. Not that one, Kirby. Slider in the dirt. Now they're going to pinch hit for Herbeck.
Kirby is having problems with the breaking ball because he's looking for fastballs inside. That's a little slider or something over the outside part of the plate. Same pitch, slider down and in, and Puckett chases 2 bad pitches.
Mack at third, Knobloch at second. And here is Bernardo Brito to pinch hit for Kent Herbeck. When Brito came out into the on-deck circle, Herbeck was already standing there. Herbeck did not look any too pleased. Herbeck has not often been lifted for a pinch hitter in the middle of a ball game, particularly a lopsided game.
Well, if you're Herbeck, you also feel that if they're going to pinch hit for you, tell me before I go on deck. You know, because he is a veteran. And again, you know, I'm sure he's not pleased. Because for a long period of time, he was the franchise. He and Kirby Puckett.
Bernardo Brito, career minor leaguer, finally getting a shot in the big leagues. This guy hit a lot of home runs in the minor leagues. It's foul. A ball and a strike. Brito is hitting .297 with 4 homers and only 37 at bats. In the big leagues, there's Mack at third and Knobloch at second. Brito hit 26 homers in AAA ball last year, 27 the year before, and 22 or more in each of the last 6 minor league seasons. It's a ball, 2-1. This year he had 20, actually 20 or more in each of the last 7 minor league seasons.
Well, he must have a real big weakness someplace, because if you hit that many home runs every year, you would have found your way to the big leagues a little sooner.
You got to make a movie and put Kevin Costner in the role of playing Bernardo Brito and call it, Bull Durham. What do you think? 2-1 the count. And 2-2 over the top of that slider. And this guy has seen the country, Joe. Batavia, Waterloo, Waterbury, Williamsport, Orlando. He spent 4 years in Portland, plus part of this year. He's a big favorite in Portland. 2-2 the count. Struck him out. Well, the Twins just cannot get the big hit tonight. Ellis Burke's coming up.
You'll never make it in the NBA.
You'll just sit on the bench.
You never even played college ball.
You're just not ready, man.
You won't have a chance to develop.
Don't get your hopes up.
Sunday Night Baseball from Chicago. The White Sox, they're hoping to have some postseason play come October for the first time in their new ballpark. They're leading big time tonight, 9-2. Bernardo Brito stays in the game to play left field for the Twins. David McCarthy has moved from left field over to right field as Kirby Puckett gets the rest of the night off. And Jorgensen comes on to play first base. Jorgensen, after Brito had hit for Herbeck, and the new catcher has come on as well. That's Lenny Webster. For the White Sox, Ellis Burks leads it off against the new pitcher. Also in there, George Samis. T-S-A-M-I-S.
There's Samis, giving up 7 home runs in 51 innings.
That's foul.
1 home run every 7+ innings. Not too bad.
Ellis Burks is... I don't like that from Joe. I mean, 7 for a short reliever, 1 every 7 innings. That's too many.
Well, it is, but I've seen worse. With the juice ball.
When is that? Back in 75?
No.
Ball in the dirt. 2-1 to Burks. Bo Jackson is on deck. 9-2. The White Sox slobbering the Twins here tonight. This is the 4th game of what will be a 5-game series. Comiskey. They've started with a doubleheader on Friday. They split. White Sox won yesterday, and they are leading tonight. And there's a base hit for Burks. Hit number 11 for Chicago. Number 12, in fact. And Bo Jackson's coming up now. Bo is 1 for 3. Singled in between 2 strikeouts. 9-2. The White Sox a 2-run first, a 5-run third to open up the huge early lead against the starter Eddie Guardado. Now the third Minnesota pitcher is in, Samis. Kind of a soft tosser, doesn't throw anything very hard. Bo drives one deep into right center field. This one is way back there. Home run! Number 13 for Bo.
He doesn't throw real hard, and you cannot get away with mediocre fastballs to Bo Jackson. He will hit the mediocre pitch, and you have to have a good fastball. This is a mediocre fastball in the middle of the plate, and he lines it over the right field wall, right center field.
Now Ventura, ball 1. So Bo's hit 2 this weekend now.
Well, Bo will murder mediocre pitching, John. I mean, if you do not have a good fastball or a good breaking ball, he will hammer you.
2-0 now to Robin Ventura. He had a 2-run double back in the third to really break it open. That made it 6-0. He's also been robbed of extra bases by Shane Mack, and he has walked. 2-1. 11-2. The White Sox ahead. 13 hits for Chicago. Frank Thomas and Bo Jackson each have hit home runs tonight. We wouldn't expect anything less when Sunday Night Baseball comes in. That's what we asked them to do. Ventura 2 for 3. 14 hits for Chicago. And now Graybeck was 2 for 3. Graybeck in his last at bat got a single and a run batted in. Of course, McCarty got charged with an error. He made a wild throw to third. Another run scored on the error. And Graybeck on his single ended up at third base. And he's 2 for 3, 2 batted in. 2 runs in. Samus has given up 3 straight hits. 4 straight hits. Ventura will stop at third. A double for Grayback. He is 3 for 4. All the White Sox guys in the bench now are asking Gene Lamont if he can just put him in here real quick.
Well, you see Tom Kelly trying to figure out exactly what Samus is doing. He's going to send the pitching coach out and give him some instructions.
And Ron Karkovice is coming up. There's Dick Such, the pitching coach for the Twins. Karkovice coming up, the only White Sox starter who has not had a hit in this game. Coming up Wednesday night on ESPN. Wednesday Night Baseball. The Giants and the Braves. Barry Bonds, Matt Williams, Robbie Thompson, the Giants. That high-scoring swashbuckling team with the best record of the majors. But Atlanta coming back. McGriff, Justice, and Gant. And only 4 games out as of tonight. The Giants have a game in Florida tomorrow. The Braves are off, and then the series will start Tuesday. And you'll be able to see the middle game, the Wednesday night game from Atlanta Stadium, right here on ESPN. Don't miss it. Ron Karkovice, the hitter. Karkovice 0 for 3. Ball 1 from Samus. Karkovice is fouled to the second baseman, fouled to the first baseman, and fouled to the third baseman in this game. 11-2. Well, we've seen the White Sox at their explosive best here tonight. They've got some thunder in this batting order. Look out, Bo. What happened? Steady. 1-2 the count. Frank Thomas. Very intriguing player to me, Joe. The combination of being able to hit for average and have that discipline to play at such a young age, very rare.
Very rare. And he's going to get better. That's probably the scary part for American League managers.
He's only 25 years old. 2-2 the count to Karkovice. Into left field. Caught. And Ventura will go back. Bernardo Brito made the grab. White Sox, are they going to win it? They are out in front. We asked Tom Kelly about their chances.
They have power, they have speed, they play pretty good defense, and they certainly have the pitching with the bullpen and the closer. They have a good mix of a couple of young people and some veteran people and a lot of guys that have the 3, 4, 5 years experience now and are hungry to win it all. They've been close the last couple of years and didn't get the big prize. This is definitely their year. They're going to be tough for the Royals and the Rangers to overhaul.
Here's Ozzie Guillen. Runners at second and third. Tom Kelly talking about the White Sox. Who favors to win it. Knobloch made the catch. McCarty looked like he was trying to call him off on that ball.
And he should have, because it was an easier play for him. Also, he's got a better angle to throw to the plate. Knobloch was going away from home plate.
Also, we get a look at that one again. Maybe he just didn't hear McCarty coming out.
Well, he was calling also, so maybe he didn't hear McCarty. See, McCarty's ready to make the catch. He almost gets in the way of Knobloch's throw back to the infield.
General rule of thumb, if you're the second baseman, if the right fielder comes in and hollers you off, you get out of the way, right?
Yes. If I was a little smaller than Knobloch, I couldn't stand any collisions.
So you got out of it?
Yes.
And, but McCarty's got to emphatically call him off. It didn't look like McCarty. I think he was kind of quietly going after that one. Lucky they didn't have a collision. 0-1 to Tim Raines. He's 2 for 4 in the game. Runners at second and third. 11-2. The White Sox ahead. Last of the 7th. The Texas Rangers, by the way, are heading to Boston now. They've got a series with the Red Sox in Fenway. Little looper along the left field line. Fair ball. Ventura scores, Graybeck scores, and Raines is into second with a double and 2 RBIs. 13-2 Chicago.
Well, Raines doesn't hit this one as hard as some of the other balls that have been hit, but he gets it off the fist, fights it off down the left field line. That's why it doesn't really hook, because he didn't hit it that hard and just stays right down the left field line. Extra bases, 2 runners come in to score, and Raines has a double.
Steve Sachs 0-1. Sachs is 1 for 3, a run batted in and a walk. 13 runs, 16 hits. Sachs the 8th man to bat in the inning. 4 runs are in against Samus. Been just a problem with the Twins all year. Remember early in the season when Detroit was so hot, Minnesota middle relief got exposed. One series, but I think it was a 4-game series. The Tigers scored 45 in a 3-game stretch. They scored 45 runs, 20 runs in 1 ball game. Twins team earned run average coming into this game 4.74, and that's because it's gotten a lot better lately. Been over 5 much of the effect. The starters even now are over 5. Such is not the problem for the White Sox, led by that man, Blackjack McDowell, 20-game winner already.
Well, I watched him pitch a game against the Minnesota Twins last Sunday, I believe it was. And, I mean, he was awesome. Every time the Twins got a runner in scoring position with a runner at third and less than 2 outs, he struck out. Winfield lined out once, and he struck him out once. He struck out Kirby Puckett twice. I mean, he was just overpowering.
He won the ball game 1-0 at the Metrodome to get his 20th win.
And Frank Thomas hit a home run in the first inning. That game also, the only run of the ball game.
Well, you see there, the 3 of the top candidates for the Cy Young Award. And, of course, the White Sox, in addition to McDowell's 20 wins, have a 15-win season so far from Alex Fernandez. Jimmy Key of the Yankees, a 15-game winner. He's really been the anchor of that staff. There's Alex Fernandez. Got a lot of young talent in this club. I mean, McDowell's a very young guy. Fernandez extremely young, just developing this year. That's Belcher just beyond Fernandez, one of the veterans, acquired for the stretch run. 3-2 the count. Frank Thomas is young. Ventura.
A lot of young players, but I guess the pitchers sit in the order that they're going to pitch. McDowell, Fernandez, and then Belcher.
It's a well-ordered society of White Sox pitchers. They've had a long tradition of great pitching here in Chicago. The old ballpark, of course, they were always known for their pitching. Sachs draws the walk for the 2nd time tonight. Sachs walks with Frank Thomas standing in the on-deck circle. Don't do it, George, but he did it. This is Frank Thomas, George. He's got 36 home runs. Maybe you heard about it. Don't walk Steve Sachs when he's coming up. Thomas tonight, a 2-run homer, a sacrifice fly, a double and a run scored, and he's grounded to third. 109 RBIs now, leading the majors. 4-1. I'd keep it right down there, maybe lower.
Yeah, you better not get it up and out over the plate, that's for sure.
A strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thomas hitting .319 right at the moment. 36 homers, 109 RBIs. Albert Bell at 2 today. He has 108 runs batted in. Let's go, Frank, is the challenge. High in the air down the right field line. And McCarty can't quite get to it in foul ground. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And the crowd here showing some life now.
Yes. Well, I guess you would, too, if you got that far ahead.
Pretty good pitch there by Samus, right in on the hands. 1-2 the count.
When you talked about how quiet the Sox fans were at the beginning of the ball game, when it was 0-0, that's when the team needs inspiration.
Yeah.
To get started.
You'd like to see him do that in the first inning when he comes up.
Yeah, rather than here in the 7th when it's already 13-2.
They used to do that in the South Side. This used to be one of the loudest crowds in baseball. High in the air to right field. McCarty will grab it. And that is the inning. 4 more runs, 13-2. Winfield is coming up. ESPN's presentation of Sunday Night Baseball is brought to you by Cold Filtered Miller Genuine Draft. Get out of the old, get into the cold. And by the more than 700 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the right parts at the right price. Sunday Night Baseball from Chicago. Well, we came to Chicago, first of all, to get a look at Frank Thomas in his bid for MVP awards. And certainly, we have to say, looks like his bid is pretty strong as Jose De Leon comes out to pitch. We also came here with a question as to how come the White Sox, with all of this talent, have not been able to run away from the rest of the division. And tonight, we've seen that, hey, maybe they just might anyway.
Well, they're showing some of that emotion that the fans and even the general manager had said was lacking on occasion.
New pitcher, Jose De Leon, against Dave Winfield. Winfield 1 hit tonight, now 11 shy of 3,000. There's Dan Pasqua replacing Frank Thomas over at first base. Warren Newson in right field. And Bo Jackson out. Winfield, a high fly ball into medium deep left center. Ellis Burks. Oh, a little wind blowing out there, Ellis. But he stayed with it. Winfield is gone. 1 down. We'll see Big Dave again next Sunday night in the Metrodome. A lot closer to 3,000 by then. We're hoping maybe he'll need 1 or 2 by then.
Well, he'd have to have a very good week.
Juan Gonzalez, 39 homers, along with Rafael Palmeiro, and the Texas Rangers will face Kirby Puckett, Dave Winfield next Sunday night's telecast from the Metrodome. The second-place Rangers in contention heading into the final month of the season. They've not often been in that situation. Next Sunday, 8, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Lenny Webster, the hitter, up for the first time. He came on for Harper in the last inning as a defensive replacement. We're in the 8th inning. The Twins are trailing 13-2. It's the 16th time this year the Twins have given up 10 runs or more in the game. Webster into center. Easy play out there for Ellis Burks. Out number 2. 2 men gone in the 8th inning. We're told that the most runs allowed by the Twins this year was 17. I thought that the Tigers had one of their 20-run games against the Twins, but the Twins public relations people tell us that that was not the case. But I do know that they had a ball game with Detroit where they were ahead like 5-1 in about the 7th inning. And the Tigers got 15 runs in the 7th and 8th innings. Won it rather handily. Chip Hale, the hitter, for William Webster Hale III. I like that. I like that a little better than Chip.
Well, if you're going to be a baseball player, Chip fits a little better.
All right. Afterward, when he becomes a lawyer,
yes,
it will be William Webster Hale III. Oh, William Webster, a pretty good ride on that one. That's the inning. We go to the last of the 8th inning. Ellis Burks will be leading it off. 13-2 Sox. Sunday Night Baseball scorecard: 13 runs, 16 hits for the White Sox, 2 runs, 10 hits for the Twins. Thomas 2 for 4, including his 36th homer. He's got 109 RBIs now. White Sox batted around in both the 3rd and 7th innings. A 5-run 3rd and a 4-run 7th. And a 13-run 9th until now. Ellis Burks fouls one down the right field line against George Samus. Burks tonight has struck out. He's walked. He's struck out again, and he has singled. Scored twice, hitting .288 for the Sox. Last year, the Sox hole was right field. I mean, they got no production from right field. Pasqua was not very strong and was injured a lot. Just nobody hit out there. They picked up Burks, took a shot with him, and he has filled that hole beautifully. Lined into left field for a base hit. So Burks is 2 for 4. That's 17 hits for the White Sox. Frank Thomas having retired for the night with 36 homers and 109 RBIs. And MVP race now. That's how everybody has finished the day. Here the final Sunday in August. Again, Thomas well ahead of the others in terms of runs batted in. Olerud, of course, with the great advantage in RBI and batting average, I beg your pardon. Of course, Gonzalez and Griffey leading the league in home run hitting. And all of them with a claim to that MVP award. Base hit by Warren Newson. Sounded like he broke his back.
Well, everything is going right for the Sox. And when you get 17 or 18 hits now, not all of them will be hard line drives.
There's Walt Riddiak.
Well, it doesn't have to do much work tonight anyway.
Just keep doing what you did tonight, guys. Now Robin Ventura. Ventura is 2 for 3, and the one time they got him out, Shane Mack had to make a spectacular catch to rob him in center field. Ventura scored 3, driven in 2 in this game. Shane Mack, he's had 4 hits tonight, and he'll have a shot at a 5-hit game. He's due up 3rd in the 9th inning. It is 2-0. The Rangers lost to Baltimore 6-3. Jamie Moyer, journeyman left-hander, has become one of the most reliable left-handers in the league the last couple of months. The Rangers in their home park today. And Kansas City defeated Boston 5-4 at Royal Stadium. Big victory for the Royals. Former Twin Greg Gagne drove in the game winner in the 12th inning. The Royals, the Rangers, the two teams behind Chicago. Texas second, the Royals third. 2-2 to Ventura. 2 men out and nobody out. Bernardo Brito, left fielder for the Twins, came on as a pinch hitter, stayed in the game. And of course, you know, ESPN has the little promotion now promoting SportsCenter. Get the various athletes to do the last few notes of the ESPN theme. Kirby Puckett and Chuck Knocklock have been trying to convince Brito that ESPN has wanted him to do that. He did it earlier today.
Okay. You ready? Yeah. Da-da-da, da-da-da.
SportsCenter coming up next. And those laughs you heard in the background when he first tried it was Kirby Puckett along with Knobloch. The infield fly in effect as Graybeck pops it up. And that is second out. Graybeck, big night. 3 hits in the game, 2 RBIs. They kept telling him, I guess the last week or so, since the Sunday night game's coming up, they want you to do that SportsCenter star term where you do the final few notes of the song. And the joke's on them, Joe, because he did it and we put it on. He said he was practicing. They were playing cards before the game, and he was practicing right in the middle of a bid. Karkovice, the hitter, he is 0 for 4. The only starter without a hit in this game. Guys don't like that to happen, do they?
Man, that's the most irritating thing for a player. 17 hits, 18 hits on the board, and you do not have any. And you say to yourself, well, someone that has 3 could spare me 1, and we'd all be happy.
0 for 4. Throwing that changeup, 1 ball and 2 strikes. White Sox have 18 hits in the game. That ties their high hit total for the season. 13 runs, leading 13-2. Last of the 8th. Burks at second, Houston at first.
Karkovice has made the last out of an inning 3 of the 4 times that he has batted, John. He has been the last out in the innings.
Oh, go ahead, rub it in.
3, 4, and 5.
Oh, he got robbed. I tell you, Ron, that was probably the most spectacular play I've ever seen. There's no justice in the world. 13-2 going to the ninth. Giants and the Braves Wednesday on ESPN. Starting to get good in that National League West. And the Giants here all the way, and all of a sudden the proud champion Braves are coming on strong. Bobby Cox says it's a better ball club than it's been.
Well, I think it's a better ball club than it was last year. I agree with him there. Just by the addition of Freddie McGriff.
They only won 98 last year.
And Greg Maddux.
This is McCarty, and a base hit for McCarty. It's 11 hits for the Twins. McCarty with a single and a triple. He's facing Scott Radinsky, the new Chicago pitcher, replacing De Leon. Radinsky gives up the base hit. Sports Center right after the ball game. The Giants and the Marlins at Joe Robbie today. The Braves hosted the Cubs, and the Blue Jays trying to get out of Seattle alive. Man, Lou Piniella vowed that they would give the Blue Jays all they could handle, and they did. The last 10 days they had 7 games with them, and they won 5 of them. Randy Johnson. There's a balk has been charged to Radinsky. So the batter, Jeff Rebele, and now Radinsky goes over to second on the balk. 13-2, the White Sox lead the Twins. The Twins will host the Texas Rangers, as if they need to face more sluggers. It'll be next Sunday night's telecast. Dave Winfield closing in on 3,000 hits. Juan Gonzalez may already have passed 40 home runs by then. I mean, he should have. He's got 39 already. Popped up. Pasqua. Can't get to. 2 balls and a strike. The count to Rebele. Shane Mack on deck. Now with a win tonight, the White Sox will be 4.5 over Texas and 5 over Kansas City. And I'm going to go out on a limb and just say, I'm going to just come out and say that I think it's going to be a win. They are ahead by 11. Oh, you disagree? A little too early for you.
A little too early for me to make the call, John. It's never over till it's over. I learned that from playing golf with Yogi Berra.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Rebele.
But I must admit, I do not like the Twins' chances of coming back in this one.
Rebele with the sacrifice flies last time up there. Well, the Ellisburg, we may have to do some figuring on Ellisburg's out there. That's his 8th put out. Marty Aronoff's already done the figuring. I said we may have to, and Marty's done it. Wow.
A lot of F8s on my scorecard too.
8.
So they probably match.
Gonna have to get Marty to figure the official paid attendance. Oh, 29,351. Thank you, Marty. And Shane Mack, looking for a 5-hit game, instead gets hit by the pitch. That's not right. Mack has never had a 5-hit game, ever.
A lot of people have never had a 5-hit game, John.
He's had 7 career 4-hit games. But one of those rare chances. Well, he's got to get the foot out of the way there. Come on, Shane. Don't just leave it there.
He decides too late that it's going to be a slider at his left foot. And by the time he decides to move it, too late.
Well, Radinsky does have a good slider. Here's Knobloch. So Shane Mack with a bid for his first 5-hit game, and he gets hit in the foot. And that's about the way the whole game has gone for the Twins. Every time something good seems about to happen tonight, they get hit in the foot. Knobloch takes a strike. They've not been able to get the hit with anybody in scoring position all night. Both of their runs have scored on sacrifice flies.
And they had a couple of opportunities earlier to get runs home with other sacrifice flies, and they couldn't get the job done.
Knobloch to fairly deep right field. Newsom with the catch. McCarty tags at second, and he goes down to third. Kirk McCaskill, the starting pitcher for the White Sox tonight, and he has not been winning very often. He's only won one time since April 28th. That was 4 months ago. Doesn't even seem like the same season.
Break out the champagne.
And unfortunately for him, it probably will not be backed up by another start real soon. They've got 5 that they're content with right now. So this is it. Here's Jorgensen.
He only started because of the doubleheader. You're right. So until they have another doubleheader, he probably will not start again.
Yeah. Plus, they wanted to set Wilson Alvarez back to Tuesday. Down the left field line. That one is hit hard. It is gone. A 3-run homer. A liner. It just would not come back to earth. And it is 13-5 now for the White Sox.
And the fans are booing, even though they still have a large lead.
I think they're very pessimistic, Joe. Someone just saying, oh, see, I knew it. No way we can win now.
Well, as you said, Radinsky throws hard. This is a high fastball from Radinsky, and this is just a line drive over the left field wall.
And that'll do it. By the way, Jorgensen with his first major league home run. We might add that. The White Sox, Bo Jackson went deep tonight. Frank Thomas went deep. And the White Sox beat the Twins 13-5. They're 4.5 up in the American League West. Sports Center coming up next. Stay tuned for that. And then on Wednesday, the big battle. Barry Bonds and the Giants. McGriff, Justice, and Gant and the Braves. 7:30 Eastern. Next Sunday, we'll be with you from the Metrodome. Juan Gonzalez, Rafael Palmeiro and the Rangers. And Puckett, Winfield and the Twins. John Miller, but Joe Morgan from Chicago. Good night, everyone.